Greetings. It is a check-in for Blck Sn by Rebecca Rowanhorse, a 2020 novel, first in the series, set in a kind of a fantasy world based on kind of pre-Columbian South America. This is chapters 5 to 9, where we're getting in more into the three characters. There's Serapio, the blinded boy of the very opening. There's Glissanda, the sea captain, and there's Durap, the priestess, the head of this priestly kind of enclave. Rather seem to be a little bit under pressure, and indeed the priest herself seems to be under pressure. Actually, let's start off with her, even though that we ended with her. She in the preceding chapters, there was assassination attempt from her, seemingly by the Carrion Crow tribe group that had gotten purged for heresy kind of like a generation ago, and it was believed they just hate her. But Shay, someone who is sort of a former lover, seems to think that, well, actually maybe it was made to just look like Carrion Crow, but they were maybe just coming for you in particular. And indeed, she goes into a meeting which is supposed to be kind of brothers and sisters, which means she immediately gets kind of ambushed at the end of a kind of a speech about kind of doing kind of they're basically doing forecasts. And indeed, there's a quote before this of someone who's doing an investigation of them, kind of a Crown Corporation thing, where it's like, well, they basically seem to kind of just do weather forecasts nowadays. Their whatever magic or kind of major thing seems to have kind of fallen aside. Can't farmers basically read their own soil to do this? So doesn't seem to be that kind of relevant. And indeed, she is making arguments in this thing that they need to actually kind of take back some of their stuff from kind of more political thing. At which point she gets ambushed by this young 19-year-old girl who is major political player, seems to bring up like, well, you seem to have been really affected by this. Maybe it's affecting your judgment. And oh, by the way, one of your brothers is like, isn't he a criminal? Isn't he a part of like the wolf something or whatever? Basically, it's like he's dead. It's like, we know that's not true. It's like, well, he's dead to me. That's true to me. It's like, oh, okay. And in a ways, it's supposed to be like, basically you've entered a priesthood. It's supposed to be left behind, all the stuff be left behind. But she gets really pissed off, and she does actually tell her to fuck off. And then tries to kind of regather her control. The person, Shay, who she is like said, like, don't do anything without me, is actually not. They're all in cowls, and he is in kind of disguise behind and has a stand-in where they should be. So it's kind of an odd thing that way. But this meeting, like, she's trying to end the meeting before anything more falls out, when a messenger comes in and says, oh, the head of the Carrion Crow tribe, the woman who's the head of the Carrion Crow tribe, is dead. Dun dun dun. And that's how we end with her. We get for Saraglio, Saraglio? I'm going to go with Saraglio. Saraglio, that's what I'm going to say at the moment, the blinded boy. We get the whole thing of he's the cargo that Glissando has been hired to transport. He's in the thing, and he can kind of warg into crows, and indeed he wargs into a crow, and she whistles and yanks him out of it, and he kind of tastes blood, like, whoa, she followed the thing back. It's like, wow. And then we have a kind of a further flashback to him as a young boy, where a guy has come to the thing, and the father doesn't want to leave him alone with him because he's not natural and all that. And basically he doesn't really have any particular love or people interest. His father basically just neglects him, and his tutors are cruel to him. But this guy has come, and this guy apparently has come from promised because of his mother, and he's going to teach him stuff. Padma, Padma, not Padma. That's like Star Trek, Star Wars. But something Pad, and he's kind of a cruel bastard too. It's like he starts to talks back to him once, like he hands him a kind of a chisel and a piece of wood, and it's like, well, when was the last time you used your hands? Well, I just took this, and he just gets whacked hard. It's like, you'll respect me. And so he works him. It's like, okay, you're going to chisel, like feel the wood. You should be able to tell that there's an animal in that wood. What's in there? And of course it's a crow, because, he's all about the crows, but maybe there actually is a crow in there. And so he's, he works him through the thing. It's like, oh, and he kind of squeezes his shoulder hard at the end and says, well, we'll come to be friends. And it's like, Srajala's like, yeah, you're lying. You don't like me. I don't know why you don't like me, but you don't like me. You may have promised my mother to do this, but you don't like me. And so we leave that with there. And then we're back to the final thing is Glissando, the ship captain, where, yes, the captain takes her down to a ship, and it's like, oh, these are some of the same guys that I came in on the first thing with, and they don't like me because I'm teak. They don't like me because I'm female. And indeed, they talk to the guy, and they kind of confirm that. And they vouch for this other guy who seems to have sabotaged the last cargo, which when kind of the blowhard she was employed with before comes down and says, oh, you ruined it. You sabotaged it because you're a teak bitch or whatever like that. And, immediately it's things. So she summoned up a song and just swept him out into the water on a wave and dropped him there. And it's like, she could have killed him, but she just let him go to the shore. But it's like, he was very pissed, and he arrives on the dock, and Bello prevents him from intercepting her. Basically holds him off from entering the dock, so then they can get away with the cargo. The big cargo being Srajlio, who is the precious cargo. There's other cargo, but he is the precious cargo that they need to transport to the thing. So yes, we're always getting these dates involved listed, and it's like 7 years from convergence, stuff like that. So I'm assuming convergence is something big in the society, maybe is going to be the big thing that this is all going to go up to. And so the striking thing is Srajlio saying, like, my mother said I was going to be a god. And it's like, oh, and there's a silence from P whatever. It's like, oh, you are an interesting one. So yes, so this is chapters 5 to 9 of Dark Sun. It's definitely it's a challenge to try and kind of get the names in your head, get the world in your head. It's not familiar, but it's kind of a fun challenge, especially on the audiobook, just because you're so used to kind of the medieval trope, which can be kind of a comfort in itself because you sort of know the general building blocks, and that makes it kind of easy that way to then just kind of slot into whatever story. But this is a different pre-Columbian South American kind of fantasy world, so where there is magic, but it's also got like kind of precepts of like, instead of knights and ladies and stuff like that, there's other stuff going on here which you're still struggling to kind of take a hold of, and you almost want to do a couple of Wikipedia kind of searches on pre-Columbian societies, because there's a variety of societies here that are coming together that it would be interesting to kind of look at what the analogs were in actual kind of historical archaeological history. So yeah, fun stuff. All right, more videos later.